I'm Rohit, once again back with you, and this time let's talk about how to install, configure an enterprise level web proxy software called Squid. And yes, as you can see in their website, you can actually run it on almost all operating systems, including Windows, and not just Linux. Yeah. And we know what web proxy software is, right? It generally helps you consolidate internet access through a single host, through a single box, and it helps you conserve internet bandwidth by caching some files that were previously requested by clients using that particular proxy software. So, this can be a useful set of features for an organization that wants to filter network traffic or just make sure it comes from one particular host. And then there are so many other uses. You can limit traffic to specific websites, that's web filtering. You can have access limitations as per the time, as per the users, as per the file types, all those restrictions that you always wanted to apply in your educational institutions, colleges, schools, or even your small office or even enterprise level office. So that's what we are going to learn today. Yeah. So let's look at the setup that we are going to talk about. Yeah. And it's primarily going to be a Squid proxy server that we are going to build, which would be connected to the internet. And I expect that your network would be, your LAN could be connected through a network switch to multiple clients or through a wireless access point, whatever you want to use for your LAN connectivity, for your mobile or whatever. We just have to ensure once our web proxy server is up and running, we have tested it, all the access permissions are in, then all the browsers that we are going to use, we will have to configure those browsers to use the proxy server's IP and the specific port that Squid would be running on. Yeah. And we would not permit internet access to all the clients other than the proxy server's IP and allowed port. Okay. So if this is your network, then how are we going to go ahead? We need to always remember that there are some prerequisites all the time. Yeah. So let's look at some prerequisites that would be required. As we discussed, Squid can be installed on any operating system, but I prefer CentOS. So let's go for CentOS. We need to definitely have internet access to that particular physical box where you're going to install the Squid package. It can be a physical box, it can even be a virtual machine. I'm going to show you this particular solution on a virtual machine. So you can even try that, you can also test it. And please ensure that you have the network connectivity in place between that server and the client PCs. And you may also have to tweak your firewall configuration to allow the not just the ICMP traffic to test connectivity, but also the traffic to allow the access to your proxy server over the designated port for Squid, yeah, from the client side. So if you have these prerequisites available with you, good. We are good to start. And these are the different commands that we are going to make use of while going through this session on Squid Web Proxy server setup and configuration. Yeah. So you will also see me typing it out on those on that particular Linux VM, but yeah, you can always take a note of it for your reference. Okay, so let's go to the VM. So just for this demo, I have kept two VMs. One is your Linux server, another one is a Windows client, okay, running on Windows 10. So let's check their IP address. CMD IP config. So the IP address, a class C IP address of 192.168.0.140. Let's take a note of it. We'll remember it hopefully. Let's go to this Linux box, key in your password. Now, okay, we're already in the root. I've sudoed to the root. Now let's see what's the IP address. Okay, I know what's the IP address of this machine. Let me try to ping it from the Windows box. 168.0.230. Good. So I can ping from the Windows box to the Linux server where we are going to install Squid. Okay, so let's try to do a ping to the Windows box from the Linux. Let's call it the client PC. Okay, so it was 192.168.0.140, isn't it? I am not getting a response back from the Windows client. What could be wrong? I know you are trying to tell me what can be wrong. So yes, you're right. It is probably the network configuration that we need to tweak a little related to the firewall. Yeah. So let's scroll down, click on the Windows firewall once you are in the network settings. This you must have experienced. So right now by default firewall is on. Yeah. So we have to disable the firewall for the public network, or we have to explicitly allow the access from this server. Yeah. See, the moment we have disabled it, so you are getting the ping response, right, from the Windows box. So the prerequisite of having the network connectivity between the Squid server and the client PC is almost ready. Yeah, we are good with it. So now what do we need next? Let's check if from this Linux system whether we are able to reach out to internet or not. Let's running a ping to google.com. Good. This also works. So now we are good. Let's clear it out. Let's try to install the Squid package. Installing on a CentOS is really simple. Just invoke yum install and provide the name of the package, which is Squid. That's it. Say yes, you want to install it, and CentOS will do everything that you wanted. It will also come ready with a default configuration, which generally has all the default access list allowed for our Windows PC to start using it. Okay, good. We are done with the installation of Squid, right? But we also have to start Squid application on this box, isn't it? So let's start it by using the normal CentOS systemctl command with the attribute start. And what do we want to start? It is Squid. So systemctl start Squid. Okay, good. Let's check the status of it. Yes, so we can see it is active and it is running after we have issued the command systemctl start Squid. Just notice one thing. Herein it says it is loaded for sure, but it is right now disabled, meaning once we reboot this particular Squid server, the Linux virtual machine, it will not automatically start. So in order to do that, we just need to enable it, right? So enabling it is again easy. Just use the same systemctl with the attribute enable Squid. So now it would automatically start even if the Linux VM reboots or restarts as and when required. Yeah. So now the prerequisite of network connectivity between the server and client checked. Internet connectivity from this Linux VM is also done. So what next is there? Let's revisit the requirement prerequisites. So we have Linux CentOS, we have internet access, we have this Squid package installed, we have network connectivity as well. Firewall configuration also we have done it on the client side. Is there anything left? Let's check. So what is we did speak about that in order for the Windows client to access internet, it needs to know the IP address. The browser on the Windows client needs to know the IP address of the Squid server and a port on which Squid application is listening, isn't it? So what is that port on which Squid application is listening to the web proxy request? If you want to find that out, the default port which it generally starts with, you have to refer to the access log. You have to refer to the Squid conf file, right? So let's go there. It's there in etc folder under Squid folder, and the file name is squid.conf. So let's have a look at the port on which Squid process is listening. So see, the default port on which Squid normally listens to is 3128, and it's specified here. You can always change this web proxy HTTP port from 3128 to a number which you prefer to have. That also is like hardening your security parameters for your environment. So yeah, you can do that, or you can let it remain like this. So is this the only thing that you have to worry? No, there is something more. You also have to see from which all network access to this squid would be allowed. So just have a look here in this section, which is generally on the top, and it says by default it has allowed all, actually 0 to 000 to 255. So no, we don't want everything to be allowed, like the 0 as well as this entire 10 subnet. No, we don't want that to happen. Sorry. So let's comment it out. So what exactly do we want to allow? We want to put an ACL. ACL is nothing but access control list, to allow this group local net, which would be having the source IP address range from 192.168.0.0/24, because we observed, right, that, let me show you again. See, our source IP address on the client PC is 192.168.0.140, which is part of the /24 subnet 255.255.255.0. So how it is /24, as you all can recall, it's 8-bit binary which is changed to decimal. So if all digits are on, that is 8 in this quadrant, 8 again in this, 8 again in this, the third quadrant, then if you add it all, it becomes 8 plus 8, 16, 16 plus 8, 24. So hence the reason for the notation /24 here. Okay, so this is the source network that we are allowing for making use of the Squid Web Proxy application. Now, is this what we need to check? No, let's also check whether this local net, the group that we have just created, is it allowed to access the internet or not. Yes, this is allowed. Yeah, it is allowed here. HTTP access allow local net, as well as HTTP access allow local host. So even your local host is allowed to utilize this Squid Proxy server to access any website. So yeah, I think we are good. 3 checks that we did on this squid.config file. The first one, what is the port number that it is listening to? What is the range of source addresses which would be allowed to request for web proxy services? And whether that group has been allowed explicitly or not. So that's what we have done. So now we can save it by hitting escape:\wq. Now, in order for it to take effect, we definitely have to reload Squid, isn't it? So to reload, restart, we can just issue the command systemctl restart Squid. Let's check the status of Squid again, if it is running. Yes, it is running. And as you remember, we had also changed the automatic enablement. We have also done that by using systemctl enable squid, so that after reboot it starts. So now here we can see it says enabled in the status rather than the disabled status which was there earlier, right? Let's hit Q. We're out of this. Let's start some testing. Okay, so the easy test that we can perform can be on the local host. Let's try to access internet using the Squid application itself. So we can call it by curl -x 3128. Which site do we want to access? Use it with -l. Let me check my site only whether it works, whether it responds. Yes, it does respond. The entire HTML will just say I, and see it is still returning the result as okay from the Squid side. So in principle and in all practical purposes, Squid is running normally. Okay, I think we are done with this. Now let's try to configure the same Squid proxy IP address and the port number on the Windows client browser, which is Internet Explorer. We'll go here. So right now the internet is already there because it is using the same environment, the same internet setup that even which the Linux server is utilizing. So I will use the proxy server. In the settings, under manual proxy, I have just turned it on. The address is specified. The port number is 3128. I had typed it earlier. I'll just save it. Let me close this window. Now let's try to access google.com. It is still trying to get the result. It says can't connect to the proxy server. It is not able to connect to the proxy server. Why? What can be wrong now? We were able to connect to, we were able to ping to that server, right? The Squid server. See, it's still pingable. And we have also verified the Squid service as such is running. It is also responding to request. We could load the web page from my website. I can also try to check other website like google.com, or say let's go for another website, nytimes.com. Yep, even that is loading. So Squid server is up and working. Connectivity is also through. What could be the issue here now? That the browser is not able to access any site is not getting a response primarily from the Squid application. So let's check the log file of Squid. We will run. So let's see the last few entries of this Squid log file. access log file under Squid folder. So generally all the log files of applications are there in /var/log, that application name like Squid here, and then the access log for Squid. So from where the request has come, okay, let me put tail -f. Okay, so all the requests that has hit the Squid server so far, I am seeing NY times. I had only called Rohit PMP, I had called, so it's all showing from the local host, not from outside. Okay, so let's try to request again from here, and since we have used the flag -f, it will update the real-time log entries, but there is no change here. So it means that the request from my client PC is not hitting the Squid app process on the Linux VM. Can you think of the reason which is blocking it? Yes, you are right. We have to allow and we have to add this port 3128 on TCP to Squid to the Linux firewall. And how do we do that? We definitely have to be the root. We need to have the root privilege. We have to use firewall -cmd -- and it has to be a permanent entry, so that even if it reboots, it will still retain this entry. So this is the command. Just press enter. What went wrong? Let's check. Firewall cmd permanent --add. Okay, I missed one hyphen here. Good. So yeah, it showed the result success, but let's reload this firewall once. Yeah, -- reload. That's also success. Clear. Let me show you on the top what did we run. So we have allowed port 3128 over TCP port on the Linux firewall by using this command firewall -cmd, a permanent entry, and we have added the port 3128. Please ensure you are using the right syntax. We just noticed that a hyphen was missed and it was not executing, right? And then we reloaded the firewall. Yeah. So now, if we have allowed the firewall and we believe it will start taking the request from the client PC, in fact it has already started reflecting. You can see the IP address of the client PC. It has the Microsoft is already trying to request something. Let's try to access Google now. Here we are. The internet is working for your client PC. And as we spoke about the advantages of proxy, yes, if some user has already accessed a website and the other user is trying to access the same website, then we will not have this delay. It will always come locally from this particular Squid server. It doesn't have to go out to the public internet. It will be coming from the local cached memory. Yeah, so this is the power of using Squid, and installing and configuring Squid is pretty simple. There were hardly 4 or 5 commands that we have to remember, make a note of, isn't it? Let's look at those commands again, just as a refresher. So we used the first one to install the Squid using the Linux CentOS yum installer, yum install Squid. Then we use systemctl start Squid. We enable the Squid to run automatically when the system reboots. We verified the status of Squid, and then the Squid config file, which resides in /etc/squid folder, was edited for 3 parameters to define the source access group with a name, say probably local net, or you can even call it my network, whatever you feel like, starting with ACL, local net, and then the range, the IP address range, which could be say 192.168.0.0/24, the subnet range. And then ensure that the HTTP access is allowed for local net. Just check which port Squid Proxy is listening to. By default it would be HTTP_port 3128, but you can always change that to 80806555, whatever number which is not conflicting with an existing application or services in your environment. And then we tested whether it is responding, the Squid application is responding locally or not, by utilizing curl -x with a -l parameter. And then when we tried to configure the Squid Proxy IP and the port number on the client PC, it was not responding, and hence we allowed the Squid Proxy port number onto the firewall of Linux, right? And then we reloaded the firewall on the Linux side, and this allowed us to start accessing the internet, and it will be very fast access for your multiple users. You will be saving a lot on the internet download limit as well. So that's a win-win situation if you start using a proxy server like Squid. And in my next video, if you would again be visiting my channel and going through such sessions, I would love to cover how you can further configure Squid Web Proxy to start using username password authentication, so that not all users, if you want, everybody would not have access to free access to internet. You can restrict them with a username and password. You can restrict internet access as per the time, you can also have website filtering. You can also restrict, like if you don't want people to download MP3 files, you can even restrict that. You don't want people to download tar files, you can restrict that. You want to change the caching setting, we will discuss that in the next session. We will also discuss the logging, as to generate a report that the request from which of the machine IP address or the host name was accessing which all website, probably for a compliance reason, or probably for assessing if they have still accessed a site, or you want to filter out, you want to blacklist some site which was being accessed, which is not as per your organization's policies, right? So this is all that I'll be covering in my next session. Hope you like this session. Keep watching, and you can always post your questions in the comment section. You can even send out an email to me to mail at rohitpmp.com. Thank you everyone. Have a great day.